Hi, I'm Ruthana Foulkes and we're here today at, let's start again. Hi, I'm Ruthana Foulkes and I'm a director at TU-Automotive and we're here today at Insurance Telematics Europe. And with me we have Andrew Miller, who is the Chief Technical Officer at Thatcham and is the President at Euro NCAP. So welcome Andrew, good to have you here today.
Thank you.
So just start off a little bit, obviously you've got a bit of a dual role here.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about both organisations and which hat you're wearing today.
Okay, well I'm sort of wearing both hats a little bit because I'd like to try and create good information for all your delegates today. Thatcham is a wholly owned insurance research centre in the UK, and our role is to look at risk profiles on cars, which we do on every model and variant coming to the UK, but also to promote best practice in the claims sector. So predominantly that's been repair, but we're also working theft and now in safety. And that's really helping everybody try and create the best outcomes, because insurance is a cost we'll have to bear and we want to make sure it's as low as possible from the point of view of managing all our costs. And in terms of Euro NCAP, we're 11 partners in Europe. We car crash, we crash cars in the UK. We also do track testing for cars for collision avoidance. That's run out of an administrative area in Brussels, where we have an office, and we manage that corporately together, and I'm currently president of the board.
Okay, fantastic. So obviously today you're here talking, about kind of the insurance side of things. Yeah. Traditionally we talk about usage-based insurance here, but we're obviously looking a lot to the future as well this year and looking at the integration of the safety services. So, your active safety specifically, so your braking, your full collision warning, that type of thing. Tell us a bit about that and how this is being tested, obviously through the NCAP hat, and then also how it's going to affect the insurance model.
Okay, the first real technology that's being tested and assessed is this collision avoidance technology called autonomous emergency braking, which is quite a simple technology in a way. It's a sensor looking forward, and either it's a radar, a camera, or a laser system called a LiDAR, which looks at a closing speed. If the car's going to crash and you as the driver haven't reacted, it'll put the brakes on. And we've developed an assessment process which uses a sort of smashable target, if you like, for another phrase, which we then test at different speeds, and we produce a rating system used in the underwriting rating system in the UK, in the so-called group rating system. So if a car has that, it has a lower premium per se for the average driver. And in Euro NCAP, we've also adopted it from 2014 in the rating system there in collision avoidance.
Right.
We're building on that in 2016 with a system designed to protect pedestrians. Excuse me, and we're just actually finishing the target development for that. The targets being pedestrians or dummy pedestrians, which have to be developed. They have to look like a human being to the car. So a lot of work going on there. And we've just finished the roadmap actually for Euro NCAP from 16 to 20, which also includes some other aspects such as junction type crashes and further developments of the autonomous systems. And in there we're also particularly looking at what they call run-off road crashes, where the car departs the road, and creating an assessment for the emergency interactive systems that the vehicle manufacturers are bringing, such as automated steering and automated braking, to bring the car back onto the road. So there's a lot going on in this space, and in terms of what Thatcham's doing, we're providing rating systems for the insurers, but also obviously working very hard to support the Euro NCAP initiative in Europe. And interestingly, manufacturers want to work closely with Euro NCAP because it actually has quite a lot of influence in the marketplace. So it does create a little bit of demand as well as acting as a rating system for consumers.
So once Euro NCAP is, with the electronic braking or with this pedestrian, once they've assessed it, rated it, and know how much it impacts safety in a vehicle, there's a relationship with government then to bring that into mandate it or make it compulsory in all the vehicles?
It's an interesting question. The regulators are looking at this, and fundamentally their role is to address market failure. If a market isn't developing properly in the sense of really taking advantage of new technologies, particularly in the safety space, if they feel that there's going to be a gap, that part of the vehicle fleet won't ever get this, then they'll act. So they tend to act where what they call market failure occurs. And they're looking at this closely. They're introduced it on heavy trucks, interestingly. The
Okay.
HGVs would just be regulated. Some fantastic footage on YouTube, etc., of these massive heavy trucks braking really quickly, which is great technology.
Yeah.
It's very sort of lots of sound and noise. But also now they're looking closely at whether they should introduce it to cars and on light commercials. But I think that whole process is quite long, and then they're thinking through their steps there. I personally haven't got a clear view on what they'll do, and they tend to follow a little bit what is available on the market, because they're really looking for evidence base. They can't act on a brand new idea someone's got for a technology, which of course doesn't actually work in practice.
No.
So on behalf of us, the taxpayers, they don't want to actually drive regulation on stuff that doesn't really work. So they're a little bit more cautious, but of course they are following this. And I think, interesting, there's new energy in that space right now, because a lot of actors, including NCAP, are saying, you've got to get on this train to understand this. And at the cutting edge of that is the whole driverless thing, which the government are really stepping forward and really innovating in the UK on. So they're really acting to try and actually foster this new technology and get it moved forward to a point where they can act in regulatory development.
Fantastic. So, I mean, that's good to hear, because obviously the legislative part of this puzzle is obviously key. We're lucky in the UK to have the allowance of these vehicles on the road, but obviously that's not the case worldwide, and needs to be sorted out. So it's good to hear that the government are kind of actively looking at this. But I mean, when it comes to kind of testing and looking at these systems, you obviously have got the braking and then the pedestrian. You work closely with OEMs, you mentioned. I mean, do you take your lead from the OEMs and what they're looking to develop?
Predominantly, yes. I mean, they're the guys coming up with the technology. We also talk, and the NCAT also talks to the suppliers, what they call the first tiers, the big sensor manufacturers and system manufacturers, the integrators like Bosch, Siemens and others, and Continental and a whole range of Japanese companies, etc., who are all providing the architecture and the systems inside the cars. So we also talk to those guys about what the art of the possible is. And between the two, and also from the consumer space as well, there's a lot of consumer interest. So everyone's listening to really how much appetite there is to move forward as well. And we're all moving forward to see what the art of the possible looks like. And in this space, interestingly, people like Google, Apple and Tesla are acting quite disruptively. So Tesla, for instance, launched their over-the-air software update about a month or so back, on latest level 6 on their software, which actually has now created some autonomous system capability on their car. And they're saying on 7, which I think is in sort of mid-year, there's going to be more capability, and I have no idea what 8's going to bring. Because they're acting very quickly to try and create energy, and Apple and Google are investing hard in this technology. So who knows? They could come in from left field with some interesting products.
Well, we've obviously seen the catalyst that's already been when Google announced their moving to Detroit last year.
No, indeed.
And everything went from 2035 predictions for these vehicles on the road to 2020 in the space of a couple of months.
No, indeed.
So, I mean, that's it's a bit of a side topic here, but the role that Google will play, I mean, there's the argument that they're not actually going to ever make vehicles, they're just going to learn it all and then sell their software on. They're going to, some people are still quite confused as to what their play is or is going to be, and it's interesting to see how that one plays out and how they disrupt. But taking it back to the insurance piece, obviously, so we've looked at the ADAS and we've looked at how that's kind of been developed and certified and safety tested.
Sure.
How is that going to apply back into insurance then? You said you package it back up and can make recommendations on how prices should be adjusted, tell us more about that side of
the UK is particularly interesting in this market. Is we have a well-developed risk rating system, which we've had for sort of best part of 25 odd years, which, or perhaps longer, which actually produces a variant rating. So one day I might have 100 variants, and we've got one rating for each of those variants, which are used right across the industry, and they go out into the data systems the industry uses, which will go cascade right across the industry, and they're obviously used for online capabilities. We're all going on to sort of the compare the markets, etc., the aggregator sites using that. So they're preliminarily there to drive standardised ratings across the industry and act pro-competitively for new entrants, and also ensure that we've got the various risks properly recognised from a sort of, if you like, aggregated insurance perspective. In terms of continuous underwriting, of course, that almost goes out the window, because you're actually looking at the driving behaviour and the driving experience, if you like, the actual driving sort of real time. So it's not as applicable, although we strongly expect these systems will start to affect frequency. We're seeing claims reductions of the order of 20% on third-party claims for whiplash.
Wow.
I think about 8% currently on our macro data across the piece on all claims. Something of the order of 20% or so on front-end claims. So there's a lot going on in terms of the impact, just from one single technology, this AEB. Now, the very high-end claims, obviously, and the sort of safety stuff is at higher speeds. So we're hoping to see some real benefits there. Vast majority of insurance claims, of course, are low-speed fender benders or
exactly.
Parking crashes. And again, we're doing work there to promote some technology in parking. Interestingly, there's some really new technology coming on basically just linking the brakes to the sort of the sensor systems on the car when you're reversing to avoid another car or a gatepost or whatever it is. Quite simple to do. Again, I imagine the insurers will try and incentivise that at the right point when they feel they've got a good risk reduction capability. So this whole transition between sort of industrial rating, which I've just referred to in our risk group rating system, which goes out to the industry for data, and continuous underwriting is a real mismatch in a way, because you've got a sort of variant-based system or you've got a driver and car-based system. So it's an interesting mix.
So are you looking to kind of bring these two together?
Very difficult to do, actually. We're trying to look at developing some data standards for this, which has been quite interesting.
Okay.
So every time we sort of try and nail it down, someone comes up with something different. And it's a highly competitive market, so at what point do we bring that to the market?
I was going to say data standards in this market, especially if you're looking at the UBI side of things, it's always been a tricky conversation.
Yes,
because the metrics, the frequency, and the then analysis laid on top of that is where the kind of USPs come from insurers.
Indeed, yeah.
So the concept of standardisation is almost so how are people reacting to that then? Obviously you're a thought leader and a trusted source in the industry.
We work for the insurers. I mean, they own us. We follow, we make sure we're not doing anything disruptive to the market. We don't want to, certainly in something so sensitive as pricing, do the wrong thing. It's very, very important we don't. And we could jump too early, we could do the wrong thing. There will come a point, we think, if telematics usage-based insurance grows, which, I don't know, 500,000 policies or something, if it does get sort of to a tipping point where it becomes into the millions, maybe we'll start to see more interest in creating porting capability, but we're not really seeing a lot of demand for that right now. And if there was a sort of call for that, then maybe we would see more pressure to create standardised operating systems across the industry. But whilst we talk to people who are interested, we're not seeing a real push for it right now.
Right, okay, so it's more just keep your eye on the ball and see where it rolls.
Yeah, and we're keeping a close eye on what the Europeans are doing, the European Commission's doing with eCall and what's been based on eCall and all that. There's talk about a new EDR standard, Event Data Recorder standard, coming into Europe, which is based on the American model, which is pretty much available on all cars now. And as you probably heard right through the conference, there's a lot of car capability coming.
Yeah.
And, I've mentioned Tesla. Well, there's a completely connected car, like our smartphones. So it's how quick, whether our industry can catch up with that. A moot point, really. So.
Well, I mean, I guess that's the question, isn't it? Especially, we've been talking about ADAS, obviously, and looking at these different services that are coming in. All are on the pathway to the self-driving vehicle.
Indeed,
disruption to insurance could be major.
Yeah.
Does the auto insurance business even still exist if we've got a car?
I think it probably will. Yeah, you'll need asset management at the very least. So if a satellite falls on your car or something, you'll need it insured or flood damage or whatever.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I mean, how does that shake things up? I mean,
I think it is going to have significant change. Insurers are very interested, obviously, in that, and that's one of the reasons they're asked us to do some forward modelling, looking at that as others have. It's a long time scale, though. If we said the first highly autonomous car, which is hands off, might be sort of 20 to 2025. Let's pick a window. It may take 10 to 15 years to put that capability into every car available new to buy, because normally it takes a while to get every new car. So that's the new fleet, which might be 2 odd million vehicles. And then you've got to turn over the whole fleet, which might take another 15 years. So you're talking about a sort of 30-year window in reality. It's quite a long time to make a market change. So that's why I sort of joke with people, don't panic,
No.
And so it's it's coming, and we need to be prepared, and the industry has to get with the digital changes that are happening, because that's happening faster than anything. How that relates to vehicle automation is another question, because that probably be a bit slower. But who knows?
Exactly. So, I mean, I agree with you. Obviously, it's way in the distance. At what point do we think, and again, I'm sure this will be in the distance, at what point do we think we'll get to be able to start at least making some realistic decisions about that, or at least modelling something that's not just, you know, pie in the sky?
Yeah, I would have thought once we're through the trialling process that we've started now, and I would have thought we'll be having proper vehicle trials in the next 5 years.
Okay.
You know, I say proper vehicles. I come from the automotive industry, so
Yeah.
the automotive industry built vehicles, not some sort of prototypes from somewhere. When we've actually got those working in a highly autonomous state and then potentially fully autonomously, where they're literally drivers, they're going past on their way to be maintained. When we at that stage, that might be 5 years, might be longer, 10. When we know that, and we've got an understanding of the capabilities and what they need in terms of being connected to the cloud and the other aspects of their operation, I think we have a much clearer view on costs, on the impact, the ownership models, what that does to the whole consumer behaviour and the opportunities. And so I think we'll then have a much better picture. But while we're on this journey where we've got some very big technical questions to cross, I think the jury's still out, really.
I know. Well, on that note, I think we'll wrap it up
All
there,
right,
because
thank you very much.
I'm not sure what more we could say on that.
Okay.
All right. Well,
Good.
thank you for your insights.
No problem.